Well, you have probably never heard his name, probably never seen him play basketball, but his story is one you probably won't soon forget. He is Elhad Emerllahu, a varsity basketball player for Clark High School. He's the first one to tell you he is absolutely no different from his teammates. But as you're about to hear, the story of his journey to America makes him truly unique. He looks like your average American teenager, AB student, varsity basketball player. But when you hear the story and you get to know the boy behind the story, you realize Elhad Emerllahu is anything but your average American teenager.
The war was with Serbia and in Kosovo, you know, really who's more dominant. They wanted us out. Serbia wanted us out, and they got us out.
As Elhad tells it, the year was 1999 and he was 9 years old. He and his family, mother, father, and two brothers, were all living in a small village in Kosovo. At that time, Kosovo was at war with Serbia, and families like Elhad's were caught right in the middle. He remembers the day the Serbian army stormed his home, the day Elhad's life changed forever.
They kicked in the door, came in, you know, they had guns and everything. Big army guys, you know, and I was little at the time, so I was scared. They told us if we didn't get out of our house, that they were going to shoot my mom and my dad, and my brother's in there too.
There was no choice. There was also nowhere to go.
We ended up having to live in the woods for about a month. It was tough, but you know, we had to do it.
Every day that families stayed in the woods meant another day searching for food. Their only choice was going back home, back into the war zone to look for something to eat.
My brother, he would go back to the house risking his life because there's army people walking around there. They were getting ready to bomb all the houses there. And my brother would risk his life and go back and get, you know, eggs and stuff like that. And he's just risking his life basically every day to get food for us. And one time, my brother went with my cousin. Next thing you know, my brother hears screaming. He sees my cousin getting beat up by three guys, big with guns. And my cousin tried to escape. They were hitting him, tried to escape, and right, they told him that they were going to let him go. And they said go. And right when he turned around, they shot him in the back of the head. And then he died, and my brother saw it with his eyes.
Murder, persecution, genocide. Those are words that no 9-year-old should ever have to consider.
It doesn't make sense how they were killing people like that, kids and grown-ups and everyone. It doesn't make sense why they were doing that. My parents they try to tell me, you know, everything's gonna be all right, everything's gonna be fine, you know, we're gonna make it, but it's kind of hard to believe when you hear gunshots and bombs and everything right near you happening, and I personally didn't think I was gonna make it.
Eventually, the family ran from the woods and from Kosovo. They spent 2 months in a refugee camp in Macedonia. From there, the family began a 2-month journey to the United States.
We had to take a lot of bus rides, a lot of trains. I didn't know where I was going. After the war, I didn't know where they were taking me. So I came to the United States and landed in San Antonio, and didn't know why I landed in San Antonio.
The reason was this man. Ed Kurth and his wife Julia had heard about American families sponsoring, adopting, if you will, families from Kosovo.
You know, I'd kind of thought, gee, you know, we'd like to do something. And you think about, you know, if you were put in a situation where you had nothing, you'd lost everything, you lost your home, even some of your relatives, and you're put in a completely different society and you had to survive.
Elhad's family spent 2 months at the Kurth's home. That first impression was unforgettable for everyone.
My parents spoke no English. I didn't speak any English, so it was really hard for us.
They arrived with the clothes on their backs and 2 flight bags, little tiny flight bags, and we brought them home, and they were just in awe because they were from a fairly small village. San Antonio was the biggest thing they'd ever seen.
That was over 10 years ago, and life has certainly changed for Elhad and his family. His mom and dad own a Greek restaurant in Kerrville, and Elhad has become one of the best high school basketball players in town. It's amazing when you realize that 10 years ago, he had never even played the sport.
I was thinking, do you kick the ball? Or because I didn't really know.
That changed in a hurry. Clark coach Steve Silestein calls Elhad a natural.
He's got great basketball instincts. He has a gift for basketball.
That gift is giving Elhad a future. 10 years after he was forced to learn a new sport, Elhad is using basketball to get a college scholarship. St. Mary's has already offered one to Elhad, and others could soon follow.
I'm so proud of what they've all done. The family, they own their own home. They all work very hard. I mean, it's the type of immigrant that built our country.
He is living proof that in 2010 the American dream does exist, even for a kid who is anything but your average American teenager.
Kosovo is always going to be my home. Kosovo is always going to be my home, but I don't see myself leaving San Antonio.
Stay on 3. 1, 2, 3, stay!
He's a good kid. I'll tell you what, the story that's fit for Hollywood only gets better. Get this, Friday night, Elhad hit a three-pointer to send Clark's game with Taft into overtime. Clark eventually won. And if the Cougars beat Holmes Tuesday night, Elhad and the Clark Cougars will win the district championship and be one step closer to that state championship.